Mario games are known for having wild gimmicks, so today I'm ranking all the major ones from worst to best in my own personal opinion. Pause to read the caption for more info about how I'm doing this. Number 20 is plucking and throwing in Super Mario Bros. 2. So the US version of Super Mario Bros. 2 is widely considered to be the black sheep of the NES games. That's because it doesn't feel like a traditional Mario game. Its main gimmick, of course, is picking up objects and enemies to throw them, and it's always felt the most out of place in the entire series. It's not entirely its fault, because obviously it wasn't originally a Mario game. Like, you can't stomp on enemies to defeat them. Instead, you jump on them, pick them up, and toss them like projectiles, or you pull vegetables from the ground and use those instead. Like, it's not awful, but it doesn't feel like a Mario game. Personally, I've always found the pluck and throw mechanic to just be kind of clunky and not super satisfying. It feels like there's like a weird delay when you lift something, and it just makes this game have that weird vibe about it. Like, it doesn't have the same momentum, the same combat as other games, and it feels more like a puzzle than an action game. Like, I don't think this is a bad game. I don't think this is awful. I don't think any of the gimmicks in here are bad, per se, but I just enjoyed this least. Like, I don't hate everything this game has to offer. The character select gimmick, if you want to call it that at the time, was nice, and if that hadn't returned in a bunch of games, I would probably include that pretty high on the list. But it's just kind of telling why this mechanic never came back. Like, you don't really have anyone saying they want this back either. Like, Nintendo clearly treated it as just a one-time experiment, and while it can be fun to revisit, it's just awkward and doesn't make for a great gimmick. Number 19 is the shooting games in Super Mario Land. So like Super Mario Bros. 2, this is one of the strangest entries in the series as well. And part of that strangeness comes from its sudden, unannounced genre shift. In 2 of its 12 levels, Mario hops into a submarine or airplane, and the game becomes a side-scrolling shooter, like something out of Gradius or R-Type. It's the only mainline Mario game where that happens, and it's jarring every single time. I guess you could say the tank part of Odyssey, but very different. But it's just weird. One moment you're platforming through pyramids, and the next you're just dodging UFOs and shooting torpedoes. As a novelty, it's kind of charming. These levels break up the pacing of the Game Boy title, a weird identity that still makes it memorable today, but as a mechanic, it just doesn't hold up. The controls are stiff, hitboxes feel off, and it just never feels quite right controlling Mario in a vehicle. Once again, it's not terrible, but it's just very shallow. Like, there's no depth to shooting, there's no real complexity, mostly holding the fire button and just hoping you hit something. Like, when I first played this game, I was pretty caught off guard by this, and it definitely wasn't my favorite part of the game. And ultimately, this gimmick just feels like a product of its time. Game Boy is new, Nintendo was experimenting, and they probably wanted to show off a variety of gameplay in a tiny cartridge. That's understandable, but the shooting stages never mesh with Mario's strengths, and they were rightfully left behind in later games. It's a cool piece of history, but not something that I feel needs to come back, at least like this. Before I continue, I just want to say if you're enjoying this video so far to please subscribe. I make tons of Nintendo videos as well as a lot of Mario videos, so I think there'll be something for you to enjoy. And at number 18 is the Mega Mushroom from New Super Mario Bros. DS, and also in New Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario 3D World. And yes, I know it's been in Mario Kart as well, but I'm just talking about the main series games here. So like I said, this was introduced in New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, and it was a big part of the marketing. Like, Big Mario's literally on the cover here, so they clearly wanted people to know about it. And all it does is it's this big mushroom you get, it turns Mario gigantic, and allows you to break anything in your path, whether it's a pipe, platforms, blocks, enemies, anything. So this came back in New Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario 3D World for a little bit, and while it's a fun novelty, there's really not much to it. Like, it just removes all challenge, and you don't really play in these sections, you just walk forward and just break everything. Like, there's no strategy, there's no timing, there's no finesse to it. It's just a gimmick in the truest sense of the word. It's fun to use, but not mechanically interesting. Like, after the first few times, it's like, whatever. And there really is only a few times, because in each game that it's in like 3 levels. It also feels a little out of place for a Mario game. Like, obviously Mario is a platformer, and this takes away pretty much any platforming and just has you running forward. I don't think it ruins the game or anything like that. Like, I'm actually happy it's in the game. It is still something that is fun to use, but it's just hard to put it above other gimmicks that are just more fleshed out and utilized more. But for all of us who grew up in the DS era, like, we all remember the feeling of getting that Mega Mushroom for the first time, and it's still something that I look back on. Number 17, the 2D sections in Mario Odyssey and kind of Super Mario Galaxy 2. So there's something cool about seeing Mario return to his roots in a modern 3D game. Both these games feature 2D sections, and they are very different. In Galaxy 2, it's more just regular side-scrolling, so it's hard to even consider this to be a gimmick. But in Mario Odyssey, you actually go back to like 8-bit Mario, you fight 8-bit enemies, and they're brief and simple. Like, this is not entire levels in the game. It's usually just to get like a moon and advance in the level a little bit, but I really enjoy enjoyed these for what they were. They're just like tiny bursts of nostalgia with some new ideas. Like, it's cool integrating it into a 3D Mario game. But as much as I like them, they're not really anything that crazy. Like, you never spend more than like a minute or two in one. They rarely challenge you. Like, they're kind of just there, be like a fun little distraction. I'd love to see this come back. Like, I do like it, but it's just hard to have it any higher because it's really not utilized that much. And when it is utilized, it is just kind of a minor addition to the level. Number 16, I have the non-linear world from Super Mario Land 2. So this is actually a pretty underrated gem, and a cool feature that a lot of people don't even realize is in the game, because a lot of people just haven't played this, is that the world map is non-linear. Like, after a short intro stage, you're pretty much free to tackle the game's 6 main zones in any order. Like, you could start with Pumpkin Zone, Space Zone, like whatever you want, and especially at the time, like, being a Game Boy game was pretty cool to have that. Like, that's something that's pretty rare in platformers today, but especially back then. Now, the levels in this game are not my favorite. I think they're decent. I think they're good for the time, but they definitely are a lot simpler than most other Mario games, but that isn't part of this gimmick. This gimmick is just solely you can do pretty much what levels you want when you want them. And while I do like this, I like that it's different than other Mario games. It also kind of brings the game down a little bit in my opinion, because instead of having it where you start off with easier levels and go to harder levels, like, it doesn't really matter which one you start in, it's just going to be kind of equal difficulty, like maybe like a little bit different, but it's not like you're going from easy levels to hard levels. Like, it's kind of more of a thematic choice in the game to do that. It doesn't really have that sense of progress in other games where you feel like you're going on like a grand adventure and you have to start at point A and go to point B, and it gets more difficult along the way. And that I'm not the biggest fan of. In something like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, it's a little bit different because you're able to just get stronger, so it allows you to tackle new challenges you couldn't earlier in the game, even though you could do pretty much anything you want from the start. So I think it works a lot better in that kind of style, but not the best in a game like this. Number 15 is the Score Crown competition from Super Mario 3D World. I love the multiplayer in Mario 3D World, and this was the first time we saw multiplayer in a 3D Mario game. And what's interesting about this is that at the end of each level, the player with the highest score based on coins collected, enemies defeated, power-ups grabbed, they get to wear a shiny crown in the next stage, and just like that, it becomes kind of competitive. And also, this was 4 years before Fortnite even came out, so they were doing the crown thing way before Fortnite. It's such a small addition, but it can completely change how you're playing with friends. Instead of just a casual co-op game, you're racing to grab coins, you're racing to jump on enemies, get power-ups. You might sabotage your friends if you really want the crown to try and keep it going level to level. It's just a very small addition that really makes the multiplayer a lot more fun. Like, I've had multiplayer sessions where the crown became the focus of every level. It adds replay value and encourages more engaged play, and lets everyone feel like there's something else to do besides just run along. Like, the reason it's not very high is because it is a very, very small gimmick. Like I said, it has really no impact on the game itself, but little things like this just give the game more personality. Number 14 is the different outfits from Mario Odyssey. So just like with the last one, this is not something that has any effect on the actual gameplay, but the reason I have it higher is just because it's just so fun in the game. There's just something about dressing Mario as Luigi, dressing Mario as being invisible, dressing Mario as his model in Mario 64, and you unlock these by finding the purple coins in each level. I know it would be cool if there were some slight gameplay differences for each one that you got, but they are completely cosmetic. It kind of just makes you feel more immersed in the game. Like, if you play as Mario 64 Mario at Peach's Castle, for example, gives you something else to do, because a lot of 3D platformers have a lot of collectibles, but they don't really do anything with it, so unless you're a completionist, you may not be inclined to try and get everything. But as someone who rarely 100%s games, someone who doesn't even do usually a lot of the extra content in games, Mario Odyssey really made me want to get every costume. I don't know what it was, but I was looking everywhere for the purple coins. I would go back to levels I already played just to try and get them so I could get every costume. It's not a revolutionary gimmick or anything. It's not one that completely changes the game or anything, but just like with 3D Worlds where it just gives it more personality, this just does the same thing here, and I really hope we see it back in another Mario game. Number 13 is motion controls, and this is in a few games. Like this isn't a series staple, but it's most prevalent in Galaxy and Galaxy 2. So these have been a bit divisive. Some games it's literally just shaking the Wii remote, other games utilize it a little more. Something like Odyssey, you have optional motion controls, same for, I believe, 3D World and Wonder. But when people think of motion controls for Mario games, they think of the Galaxy games. You have the spin jump where you shake the Wii remote, but you are also pointing it at the screen to collect the star bits. And while a lot of people hate this, I actually love this when I originally played Mario Galaxy. It just feels like there's always something to do, because it always has you focusing on seeing those star bits in the distance and trying to collect them while platforming. And it is important. Like, it is very important to get star bits. It's not like it's something you could just neglect. And I know that some people have had issues with motion controls in this, especially being forced. But like I said, this is just my personal opinion. I never had a problem with it. And the only reason it's not higher is because I don't think it's that innovative of an idea. I don't think it's completely game-changing. I don't think it's the best thing of all time. But for how Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 utilize this, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Number 12 is badges from Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So Wonder introduced badges as a way to customize your abilities in each level, and while the system is simple, it opens up some surprisingly interesting possibilities. You can equip badges that grant you things like wall cling, floaty double jump, an invisible dash, or even a grapple vine. Some badges help beginners, others are clearly designed for challenge runs, and because you can only equip one at a time, you have to think about how you want to approach a stage. What I love about badges is how they layer extra flexibility onto a traditional 2D Mario game without fundamentally changing it. You're still running, jumping, bouncing off enemies, but now you have this added complexity, like one special move you've chosen for yourself, and it makes each level feel a little bit more personalized. Like maybe you'll take the high route with the dolphin kick, or challenge yourself to beat the stage with the invisibility badge, and no visual feedback at all. That said, the badge system isn't perfect. Some of the badges are overpowered, and a few feel like they were just made to fix the level designs rather than actually enhance them. Still, the concept is clever, and it does fit naturally into Wonder's gameplay. It's a gimmick that just has a lot of experimentation, like this is one of the more impactful things in the video. And this may not be a gimmick someday, maybe in 20 years every 2D Mario game will have this, but for now it is very much a gimmick. And staying on the topic of Super Mario Bros. Wonder is number 11, the Wonderflower. So this is another game-changing gimmick. The Wonderflower is the defining gimmick of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, even more than the badges. And I mean, the game's literally named after it. Every time you touch one of the Wonderflowers, the level transforms, pipes start crawling, enemies might start singing, the screen flips, Mario turns into a balloon, you name it. There's just a ton going on here. What's brilliant about the Wonderflower is that it makes every level feel like it has a secret second version of itself, a dream version where the rules just don't apply, think like Mario and Luigi Dream Team or something, and the game never reuses the same trick twice. One level might stretch out into a musical, while another drops you into a top-down maze. It's almost like the developers asked themselves, what's the weirdest thing we could do here, and then actually did it. I will say this though, sometimes the chaos can be a little overwhelming. There were moments where it felt like I was watching a level instead of playing it, and when every stage has a Wonderflower, the surprise can start to wear off. There are definitely some better uses of it. There's some levels that completely miss the mark on it, but again, when you have a big game like this and every single level is going to have a Wonderflower, there's going to be levels that just miss it. Overall, I did like the idea. I wouldn't want to see it in every Mario game or anything like that, but I did enjoy it in Wonder. Number 10 is the micro challenges for main collectibles, and this is mostly in Odyssey, but a little bit of Bowser's Fury. So what I mean by this is instead of having one objective per level, think like every other Mario game pretty much besides these two games, in Odyssey and Bowser's Fury, the worlds are just filled with tiny challenges that each reward you with a power moon or a cat chime. Some take less than a minute to complete, some you could literally just walk around and randomly find one, like you ground pound a suspicious hill, chase down a rabbit, solve a block puzzle. Others are more involved, like time obstacle courses or hidden mazes. But the point is, the world itself is the level now. You're not entering stages to collect one thing, you're just constantly uncovering new tasks around every corner. And I really do like the structure. It keeps the momentum going, it rewards curiosity, and does make you really want to explore more than you would otherwise. In Odyssey especially, getting a moon is as simple as finding something weird and seeing if it works. There's people who try to get 5 moons at once in one movement, because there are parts of the game where there are that many moons. Bowser's Fury builds on this by letting you tackle challenges in any order, and at any time Bowser will occasionally interrupt things with his Fury Bowser mode. But there is a downside to this. With so many collectibles, not all of them feel that satisfying. Some moons are handed to you just for basically buying the game, others just feel like complete busy work. It is a trade-off I'm willing to accept because I do like this system, but also part of me does miss the older style. It is more satisfying to collect a star in the Galaxy games or in 64 or Sunshine, because it feels like you worked harder for it. So I do appreciate both. I think I prefer the more traditional sense of this, but Odyssey is still one of my favorite games of all time. Number 9 is one you probably didn't think of as a gimmick, and it's the strategy of the world map in Mario Bros. 3. So at first I wasn't even going to include this. I was thinking New Super Mario Bros. Has this, so it's not really a gimmick at this point, but looking back at it, it's a lot different. So this was the first Mario game with a world map, and on the surface it looks pretty straightforward. You move from one level icon to the next, world by world, but if you dig a little deeper into this, you realize how much choice and strategy Nintendo actually put into this. If you got some branching paths, optional levels, secret shortcuts, locked doors, mini boss patrolling map, and of course the legendary warp whistles. What I love about this gimmick is just how it blends player freedom with hidden knowledge. The game rewards you for exploring, experimenting, and even remembering the odd tricks from past playthroughs. If you know where the warp whistles are, you can skip entire worlds. If you save certain power-ups, you can fly over levels or bypass obstacles entirely. It's not just about beating levels, but it's more about navigating the entire game. Even today, this just feels so much better than the new Super Mario Bros. Games, because there is some strategy in that, I guess. There's the toad houses, there are the cannons, there's sometimes those enemies that show up, but it just feels so much better here where it feels really more ingrained into the game, if that makes sense. And you could argue with me, you could say that this is not a gimmick, you could say New Super Mario Bros. Does something similar, so it shouldn't be considered one. But I don't know, I really like what Super Mario Bros. 3 did with it. And you may be asking about Super Mario World 2, and I am going to get to that a little later. Number 8 is beating the game again as Luigi in Galaxy and 3D Land. Unlockable Luigi modes have kind of become a tradition in 3D Mario games, well, at least 2 of them, and while they may not reinvent the wheel, they offer a clever, subtle way to reframe the entire game. After beating Mario Galaxy or 3D Land, you're given the option to replay everything as Luigi, and while that sounds like something that isn't even a gimmick, it's actually more than that. Luigi jumps higher, he runs faster, and he also does slide around like he's walking on ice. It does change the feel of platforming in a big way, and precision becomes harder and momentum becomes trickier, and it can definitely change how some levels feel. Not to mention, it gives you basically double the game. And I've always liked this because it feels like a real remix of the game's core experience. It's not a hard mode in the traditional sense, like it is a little bit, but what elevates this beyond just a simple character swap is how well it taps into Luigi's identity. Like especially in Galaxy, it's really rewarding to not only get Luigi, but also finish the game again as him and get every single star that the game has to offer. And then Luigi was in Mario Galaxy 2, but you didn't replay the game as him, you had him pretty early on and you could just swap between them. This just adds a lot of new content, and it's not the most complex thing, but it would have been cool if we got something like this in Mario Odyssey, where you could play as Luigi and have his different physics, especially with how many challenges there are in Odyssey with the different movesets you have. Also, just a side note, since people may ask, I'm not including the balloon hunt mode because it's not really a gimmick, it's not really part of the main game, it's just kind of a side thing, so figured I wouldn't include that, but didn't want to give it a mention. Number 7 is the open world of Bowser's Fury. So while there's been open Mario levels before, like obviously 64, Sunshine, Odyssey, it's never been like this where it's more of a traditional open world. And this came in a game that people didn't even think would ever exist. Like this was just a random pack-in game with Mario 3D World on the Switch. Now it's not a full sprawling open world because this is not a full game. It's more of like a longer tech demo, but it works shockingly well. Instead of hopping between courses, you explore a vast archipelago called Lake Lapcat. You uncover cat shines hidden across interconnected islands. No world screens, it's just one massive fluid space. And the open world structure is a natural fit for Mario's movement. Constantly encouraged to experiment with jumps, shortcuts, mobility. Whether you're riding Plessie across the waves or trying to sneak past Fairy Bowser, it feels like a proof of concept for what a full-scale open world Mario game could be. And I feel like this is the direction things are going in. This could be why Nintendo's taking so long for a brand new 3D Mario. Now, I really like the concept, but the reason it's not higher is because we haven't actually seen it play out as best it can yet. Like, the open world here isn't that crazy, especially like when it came out. Like, it's not like this is a 20-year-old game that had open world and was experimenting with that. Like, we have obviously much better open worlds, and this was very light on content compared to most of those because this was supposed to be just a smaller game. There's also not much differences, like there's not that much variety in this world, but if we had something like, maybe if Mario Odyssey, for example, had an open world and you could go from kingdom to kingdom, that would be a little bit different, like where you unlock different levels and it's all interconnected. Something like that could definitely be higher depending on how it's implemented, but until we actually see a better proof of concept, I'm gonna keep it at 7 for now. Number 6, I have FLUDD from Mario Sunshine. FLUDD is without a doubt one of the most controversial Mario gimmicks ever. Some people love it, others hate it, but no one forgets it, so kind of like a microcosm of Super Mario Sunshine. The Flash Liquidizer Ultra Dowsing Device, yeah, that's what it stands for, is essentially a water-powered jetpack that lets Mario hover, rocket upward, blast enemies, and sludge. It's the core mechanic of Mario Sunshine, and it fundamentally changes how you approach movement in combat. Personally, I'm a fan of this. FLUDD gives Mario an incredible sense of fluidity, no pun intended. The ability to hover mid-jump or chain together hover boost adds layers of creativity to the platforming. There's a real joy of learning how to master it, and levels often feel like playgrounds designed specifically to test your skills with it. And there are levels in this game where you don't use FLUDD, and it really makes you miss him. Now, FLUDD is not perfect. Some nozzle types are more fun than others, and certain missions feel less like platforming challenges and more like chores, like I'm looking at the cleaning missions. But at the end of the day, FLUDD stands out because it takes Mario's most essential skill, which is jumping, and redefines how it works. Number 5, the branching world map from Super Mario World. So I mentioned this before, and unlike Super Mario Bros. 3, where there is strategy to the world map and you can skip levels, you can skip world, Mario World's a lot different. Instead of regular new Super Mario Bros. Games where there's usually one path, like maybe there's going to be 2 paths or something, maybe there's a secret exit, the map in Mario World just has so much more to it. Like, you're uncovering secrets, unlocking alternate paths, carving your own route through Dinosaur Land, and these choices really matter here. Finding secret exits that open up brand new levels or shortcut paths to later worlds made the game more exploratory, and that was pretty rare at the time, and even today there's not a lot of games exactly like it. Discovering Star Road felt like finding a cheat code built into the game itself. What makes the gimmick so brilliant is that it's completely organic. There's a crazy amount of hidden exits here, there's crazy amounts of secret levels, especially at the end, which is its own thing that I could consider a gimmick, but I'm just gonna keep it in with this. Like, something like the new Super Mario Bros. Games just lost a lot of that charm that Super Mario World had, where it feels like there's just so much more to do here, and even more than Super Mario Bros. 3. I like this a lot better, where it feels like a living, breathing world, or a Mario world, you could say. Number 4 is multiplayer in the new Super Mario Bros. Games and Super Mario 3D World. So this one you may not even consider a gimmick, but I did want to talk about it. Multiplayer in Mario games has always been a bit chaotic, whether it's in Mario Party, Mario Kart, Mario Sports, but with new Super Mario Bros. Wii, we finally got it in a platforming game. Like, you and 3 friends could play through the entire game together, share the screen, bounce off each other's heads, steal power-ups, throw each other in lava. 3D World took this even further by blending 3D movement with side-scrolling chaos, and offered a camera system that tried and sometimes failed to keep everyone visible, and yet that was part of the charm. These games are just fun to play with friends, even if it is just pure chaos. What makes it work so well is just the unpredictability. No 2 multiplayer sessions are the same. Sometimes you're helping each other, sometimes you're throwing your buddy into a pit, but it just makes you want to replay these games. What would otherwise be a game you play maybe once or twice gives it unlimited replay value. I grew up when this game was popular, and I can't tell you how many times I'd go to a friend's house and play New Super Mario Bros. Wii because there was just so much you could do there. If you don't like the multiplayer in these games, you probably weren't fortunate enough to actually play the multiplayer many times. Maybe you just got burnt by someone who just kept throwing you in the pit. Multiplayer in Mario games will always hold a special place in my heart. Number 3 is the castle in Mario 64. So another one you may not have seen coming because a lot of people don't think of this as a gimmick. And there are other hub worlds, but I think of this as something different, and I'll explain why. So instead of a world map or a linear path, the game dropped you into Princess Peach's castle, which was a fully explorable hub that served both as your playground and your portal, obviously with the paintings. What made the castle gimmick so impactful is just how immersive it felt. You weren't selecting levels from a menu, you were discovering them. You'd walk into a hallway, see a star door that required more power stars, and think, what's behind that door, like you're on a TV show. Like, it encouraged curiosity and rewarded exploration, and it made progression feel earned. No, I like Delfino Plaza, I love the Comet Observatory, but there's not as many secrets there, it feels like. It feels like those are more just places to get you to each level, to get you to each different location. When Peach's castle in Super Mario 64 feels like a living, breathing part of the game. Like, think about the infinite stairs, the first time jumping into a painting, the different rabbits hidden around, the Luigi, Wario, and Mario doors if you played this on the DS like I did, the secrets hidden like underwater or Peach's slide. It just feels like this is really how to do a hub world, like where it really feels like it's not just a separate part of the game, but it is the game. And this is another one you could argue isn't a gimmick. You could argue that there's other hub worlds that maybe you like better, but once again, it is my list and I consider this to be a gimmick, and it's one of my favorites. And now we're down to our top 2, and you could probably figure out what they are, because these 2 are objectively gimmicks and they really change up the games that they're in. And number 2 is the capture mechanic from Mario Odyssey. And also, I want to say I'm gonna just include Cappy with this, like all the movement options there, because while you could argue it's technically different, it's all part of Cappy, so I'm just gonna group it together. So when this was first revealed, everyone went crazy. Like, you could play as the frog, you could play as a bullet bill, you could play as a stack of Goombas, you could play as a letter in the park in New Donk City. There were so many things and so many enemies that you could capture, and it just felt like you could do anything in this game. Every new enemy you possess has a unique feel and utility, and the level design is constantly asking, what if Mario was this instead? Like, if you want to cross a lava lake, you capture a lava bubble. If you want to smash through walls, you capture an enemy. If you want to be this thing, you can. Like, you could be a tank in this game, you could be a taxi cab, you could be anything you want in this, pretty much. Like, this is just one of the most pure fun mechanics in any Mario game, maybe any video game I've ever played. Like, it rewards experimentation. Like, if you want to try playing as a certain capture to do a specific task, if you want to do a challenge, you can pretty much do it in this game. Unlike power-ups, which might give you a temporary boost or just make you a little stronger or give you one thing like an extra attack or something like that, it completely changes how you play. And then with Cappy himself, just gives you the best movement by far we've ever had in the Mario series. People are still doing challenges of this 8 years later. Like, you probably remember the first time you did the quote-unquote impossible jump in New Donk City. There's just so many things to learn, like this roll cancel vectoring, there's so many techs with this, and it could take a long time to really perfect. Like, people would actually play this game with 2 controllers where they'd use their feet to control part of it, because with the 2-player mode, it would give you like more options for how to control Mario, and this is by far the best movement we've had in any Mario game, like I said. And the only reason it's not number 1, it might be a little bit because nostalgia, but I'll get to that. It is the gravity mechanics from the Mario Galaxy games. So this affects pretty much the entire game, at least in Mario Galaxy 1 especially. Almost every part of every level is going to be affected by this. First time you step onto a tiny planet and start running in a full circle, walking upside down, it feels different than any other video game you've ever played, and it does not feel clunky at all. It feels perfect. Like, for what Nintendo did in this all the way back at the beginning of the Wii era, it was truly impressive. Just reshapes the entire platforming of this. ridiculous. Like jumping from planet to planet, trying to go to a planet earlier that you shouldn't be at yet, using those pointer things to have the gravity pull Mario towards something. I know that's not everyone's favorite, but I thought it was fun. It's just part of my favorite game of all time in Mario Galaxy, and arguably my second favorite game of all time in Mario Galaxy 2. I just love how the platforming feels here, and while Mario Odyssey's moveset is technically better, there's just something to me about Mario Galaxy's gravity mechanics. And that's the list. Like I said, this is completely 100% based on nothing more than my opinion. It's not based on your opinion, like you who's commenting, saying how I'm wrong, or saying I forgot something. I'm sure there's things I could have included that you could argue are gimmicks. I'm sure there's things on here you could argue are not gimmicks, but this is just meant for me to talk about things I believe to be gimmicks in Mario games, and what I personally enjoyed as a lifelong fan of this series. Now I want to know your list in the comments. It doesn't even have to be everything I talk about in this, it could be your own things. And I do want to say, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and consider joining my Discord. I make a ton of Mario videos, I make a ton of videos on other Nintendo content, so there's going to be something for you to enjoy. Like, look here in the end screen, I think you'll enjoy one of these videos if you haven't seen them. Thank you for watching Domainy, and I'll see you next time.